Hey there, this is Neurotic Vows, and once again, I actually have something I want to talk about. This is inspired by a particular comment, but I do feel it is something that is very important, and we need to talk about the U.S.'s education system. There are many people in the United States that do share the opinion that I do that the education system in the United States does need to be updated. It needs to have a reform of some sort. Basically, what needs to happen is that the standards and the way we go about schooling needs to be updated. Certain systems are starting to fall through. Not only is it the system, but it's the lack of money going towards education. We'll get into all of that in just a little bit. A little background about myself. I've mentioned in a few other videos that I am originally from Germany, and I've experienced the education system in both countries and have done research on both countries' education systems a lot since then. Now, in the US, the education system basically works as you go to kindergarten or preschool or both, but you don't necessarily need to go. You go to elementary school or primary school, and from there you either go to middle school or junior high, and then after that you go to high school or senior high school, and from there you can go to undergraduate programs or community college, or actual college or vocational technical institutes. In Germany, however, so you start with kindergarten in Germany, where you go outside and you socialize and experience nature for the first 3 years, and that's paid from the student, from the parents. And then after that, you go to Grundschule, which is primary or elementary school, and from there are a few different paths you can take. The first couple of years of any of these, though, is an orientation stage. So you can either go to Hochschule, which is basically taking time. It's a slower paced education that leads to a vocational program, and with vocational programs, you actually learn how to do a particular trade. And each school in Germany that does these actually has contracts with different companies, and once you get past your vocational training, which is a middle school slash high school type situation, you basically go into the company at the position that you're learning at. So basically, from grades 5 to 9, you learn a particular trade, and then from after there, you go to an apprenticeship, particular trade, until you're at the age of 18, and generally from there, you go full time into the position that you were training in. After that is Realschule, which is basically the same thing, except it leads to higher paying vocational jobs and goes from 5th grade to 10th grade with an extra year. Within Realschule, students are given the option to switch to gymnasium, which is basically their equivalent of like middle school and high school. So yeah, gymnasium is Germany's equivalent to US's high school system. Gymnasium usually lasts for until 12th grade, but some will stay for an additional year. Students finish school and receive an Abitur, which is both an academic degree and vocational credits. The curriculum consists of German, mathematics, computer science, physics, chemistry, biology, geography, art, music, history, philosophy, civics, social studies, and several foreign languages. In Germany, students are required to have at least 5 years of a foreign language. Meanwhile, in the US, I don't think you are required like most of those things to actually graduate. Now, the flaws in the US system is not just the fact that the slow defunding of public school systems that has been happening over the past couple decades, even longer than that. The schools have taken major hits to the point where they have to reel back programs such as music and art and what's considered extracurricular activities. Just like most other forms of public service, education does need funding. And when we're in a country that likes to overfund on various things such as the military and take away from essential services such as schooling, it really does have an impact on the higher education of the people in that country. I understand that the US want to protect themselves, but that doesn't mean that you can't scale back spending at least a little bit to educate the people in your country. Now, of course, not every school system in the US has been cut as bad as others. Are the school systems funded by the states more than the federal government? Certain states have been reducing their educational spending more than others due to a variety of different factors, such as greed or putting that money into other programs that might not be as important. I mean, like even public road repairs and any type of building to help keep the cities alive has even been cut back. Now I live in Oregon, which Oregon, even though it doesn't have the best education system in the US, has recently started putting more money into education, and they've been able to do that with the legalization of marijuana. I've supported the legalization of marijuana, even though I would never partake in it myself. I just have no interest in it. But the amount of tax money that's come in from marijuana has helped put money back into schools and into public works, into city workers. And I've seen a lot of the schools in my area in the past couple of years get completely torn down and rebuilt into brand new, better facilities. And I would like to see that trend continue. And I think that a lot of other states that still haven't legalized are missing out on the benefits if they were to tax it the same way they tax alcohol like Oregon does. The importance of making sure our schools are funded so that people get proper education goes a long way in the future of this country. Now, a lot of scientific research has been done on different ways to educate people and how the mind works and how people learn and what the best time to learn is. And I do believe that in the future, we need to reevaluate how schools work, break that down, and rebuild a new way of teaching the future generations in a more effective way that keeps them engaged and also to help inspire and create the desire to learn more. I know when I was in school in the US, I lost a lot of desire of learning the things they were trying to force me to learn, but I still had my own personal desire to learn things outside of what the school was trying to teach me. For me, the problem was the over repetitiveness of how the education system works. For me, when I learn a concept, I don't need to spend a week and a half on the exact same concept. I get bored and my mind wanders, and then I lose interest in wanting to continue that. The only time I really retain wanting to do the same thing over and over and over is when I'm trying to learn a new song on guitar or when I'm playing a video game, especially an online game. For me, education in the sense of gaining knowledge, it does not benefit me personally to keep the same concept in my mind for a week and a half. I also think it'd be important to find ways of having different structures for different ways that people do learn. There's different people who have different mental processes. There are people who have different mental disabilities that affects the way they learn. And to have everybody grouped together with one way of somebody teaching you something can be harmful. I mean, I know there are special ed programs, but they still aren't fully utilizing different ways to do what they can for these people that need the extra help. And even people that don't have any form of disability, they aren't getting the education they need if the school is trying to teach them in a certain way that their brain doesn't fully handle learning in that capacity. I mean, a very simple example of how different people learn that isn't even fully school based is I know some people that you can tell them a concept of how to do something and they'll be able to go straight off of just the words. I myself have to do it myself and be hands on with it for me to learn how to do it. But once I do it once, like my mind just like, okay, I know the mechanics of it. I can just keep doing it. There are many different ways to approach education. I mean, some people homeschool and it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. Private schools, they have a premium to them, but many people seem to be better off with them. But public schools are suffering from just not being equipped to handle how things are in the real world. The defunding of a lot of educational programs and stuff like that has also created the problem of stuffing school classrooms. When there are too many students for a teacher to take care of in a learning situation, it creates a situation where the teacher can't get to everybody. If we had smaller classes, it'd be easier for the teacher to take their time with the students that need that extra time to be able to learn the concepts that they need to learn. There are also certain programs I wish they would actually create for schools. I believe every high school should teach basic money management, tax preparation, and how to do simple things such as saving money, doing your own taxes, and how to build credit without putting yourself into a cycle of just staying in debt and never being able to get yourself out. I also do believe that we need to be able to teach people how to think critically, because another problem I find with school is that it teaches you how to remember things, but it doesn't teach you how to ask questions or how to think critically or anything like that. A lot of it, you just start to learn how to take things on authority instead of going out yourself and researching things yourself and learning yourself. Critical thinking is one of the most important life skills that there are, and it's something schools fail to teach at. And when you don't have a family structure that to help you learn like that either, you're stuck with people that don't question things. And it's something you definitely see on social media, where you'll see fake articles and fake information and bad information, and people just, oh, I saw it on Facebook, it must be true, instead of researching yourself, thinking critically, thinking logically, and to verify the sources, stuff like that. We just need to make sure that we're creating the best situation we can for our future generations to set them up for success. And the best way to do that is through education and using education to prepare them for life, not just to have them remember things until they graduate. This is Neurotic Vows, and I will catch you in the future. Have a good one.